Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Phoenix and this is the Consumer's Guide to Filmmaking. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. 2024, George Miller. Taking place long before the events of Fury Road, this film follows a young Furiosa Jabasa. Okay, so what I think I'm trying to communicate is that a bunch of bandits invaded the area like in and around the Green Place, and Furiosa was captured by Dementis, and Dementis was going to use her to lead him back to the Green Place. Yeah, continue. However, his quest lands him at the front door of Immortan Joe and his citadel. Striking a deal with Joe, Dementis rules Gastown while Joe takes custody of Furiosa so she can be Joe's new wife. Furiosa, though, escapes the vault holding Joe's concubines and disguises herself as a war boy, rising through the ranks so she can have the tools necessary to finally exact revenge on Dementis. Much like Fury Road, this film was also in the oven for a hot minute, but thankfully not as long as Fury Road, only a little under a decade. Now having seen the Fury Road prequel, I was pretty damn impressed with this entertaining thriller. Note how I describe the film as a thriller and not an action movie. While there are some big action set pieces in this film, the tone of this film is very much a dark revenge thriller. The first aspect that we see this in is with the music. While Fury Road's score is a pounding exercise in metal and exhilaration, this is a quieter affair. It takes some of the more anxious sounding pieces from Fury Road and builds on them for atmosphere. During the first major set piece, the music is almost eerily quiet, and the crescendo it builds to isn't too epic or grandiose. It just sort of sits in the background and builds this ever-present sense of dread. The other aspect of this film that really sets it apart from Fury Road is the pacing of the script. At 2.5 hours, this film is longer than Fury Road, and that time is taken up more with relatively quieter scenes. Scenes of people talking, more character-focused things, that sort of stuff. The action scenes are spread out more, with the film taking more time to build up to them. All of this really works to the film's benefit, as the stronger aspects of the writing are enhanced by that slow pace and that darker atmosphere. What we get in this film is an answer to why Furiosa is such a grizzled, quiet badass in Fury Road. In an excellent performance by Anya Taylor-Joy, who really channels Charlize Theron impeccably, we see in this film a girl who the Wasteland made every possible effort to crush their spirit. Losing a mother and a lover to a psycho called Dementis, who, in a fun performance by Chris Hemsworth, makes Immortan Joe look like the picture of sanity. In short, your average Aussie cunt. Anyways, Furiosa was raised and molded at every turn to be a monster. In some ways, she did become that monster, but only as a means of survival. When she had the opportunity to kill Dementis, she kinda didn't. Instead of just braining him with a bullet, Furiosa turned him into a living tree. She turned this rotten human being into something that could give life to the world. She refused to become like Dementis, and as we saw in Fury Road, made sure that a monster like Immortan Joe couldn't hurt anyone else. My major problem with this script, though, is that it just has too much Hollywood nonsense. Primarily, the inclusion of a love interest really soured my experience of the film. While I do concede that the love arc was presented in the subtlest way it could be for a film like this, I just think it should have been left out. Having the corny "come with me to paradise, we can be happy and have babies" spiel, and the man is becoming protective of his woman so he makes her hang back during the op shtick was just tiring as fuck. If you wanted to keep that male character in there, have him be a mentor type more than a lover. You can keep the hang back shtick with that characterization and it would be a little more genuine. Like, there doesn't need to be corny romance bullshit in a movie like this. Also, having Mad Max show up in this was the lowest form of soy face bullshit. That shot was only there for a cheap pop and you fucking know it. Moving on now, George Miller is of course in top form from a directing standpoint. I mentioned the excellent score, but his visual style is in full force here, but with a lot more polish in the action scenes. Given that these set pieces are fewer and farther between, George could pour more resources into them, and that showed in how sleek the camera movements are, and how incredibly intricate the stunt work and coordination was. While we do have staples such as those frantic zooms coupled with sped up footage, the cuts are fewer, making sure that when there is a cut for an important purpose. Miller also continues to use interesting color palettes for this film, much like he did in Fury Road. Some really interesting uses of red as it fades into other shots, and those gorgeous blue nights always melt my heart, good God. Certainly, I think the production design shows that same level of polish from Fury Road, as the stunts are top-notch and the special effects are dope. Maybe the CGI was a little more prominent and noticeable, but it didn't rip me out of the film. The cars are way cooler in this film though, as they seem to be using more varied types of vehicles. There are some dope fucking muscle cars in some of these action scenes. The costumes in the film are also good as well. Dementis definitely had the look of a Mel Gibson era Mad Max villain. A lot of leather gimp shit going on in his costume. But the long hair and the beard made sure it's more over the top and in line with, you know, the characters in this movie, the whole tone of Fury Road, that sort of thing. One of Dementis' goons had like a 6 set of black horns that were pretty fucking metal. Immortan Joe looks dope as usual. Furiosa managed to get some nice costumes in before Anya went full Charlize Theron at the end. It was good. Anyways, I think Furiosa was a dope film. Was it as good as Fury Road? Absolutely not. Compared to that film, this is a bit too Hollywood for my taste. But the Hollywood slop in this film isn't a horrible detractor from George Miller's achievements. Polishing up the action scenes in certain respects, the way he applies his eye for action to a much darker, brooding tone is something to be admired. This is especially so when we have two great leading performances bolstering this slower-paced script. While that slow pace might turn some off, it is why I like this film so much. It was disheartening hearing that this film wasn't drawing too many dimes, so please, rent this movie on digital, buy a Blu-ray, help this film draw some dimes, make it turn like a big profit. We need more George Miller types making badass stuff like this on a big scale. Recommended. And I am feeling an 8.5 out of 10 on this one. This film's fucking badass. Catch you later, guys.